Okay, and welcome to session 4. So in this video today, I wanted to talk about why it is that the unconscious mind is the way that it is. So why is it most of the time quite negative in terms of the automatic thoughts that it generates? And why is it just always so noisy all the time? Like it's just constantly going, it's just always talking. So the first thing to realize is the mind is noisy and it's talking all the time because you have created it that way, or we have all created it that way. And we have done so by going through our life, and we've had certain experiences, and through those experiences we have decided which ones we like and which ones we don't. So basically we've created a whole preference system around how you want your life to be and how you don't want it to be. And basically this is the problem. And this is why it's so noisy, as you'll see soon. So the cause of all suffering that we have in life is because of our preferences of what we like and what we don't like. It was Buddha who actually said that. He said that, well, the first thing he said was all of life is suffering. And then he said that the cause of all suffering is preference. So in other words, it's deciding how things should be and then them not being that way. So this makes what you suffer about unique to you, right? Because we've all created different preferences through the unique experiences we've had throughout our lives. So events in themselves don't cause mental and emotional suffering. It's you that causes yourself to suffer by your reaction to the events. And there's a key in the word reaction, because it means you are recreating from the past. That's what a reaction is. Now, it doesn't seem this way. It doesn't seem that you're causing yourself the suffering. It really does seem like the outside world or that person saying that thing or behaving that way is what's causing you the suffering. But it's not the case. And the reason why it doesn't seem that way is because the time between the outside event or person coming in and your reaction is instantaneous. And that's the definition of it being unconscious, because it's instantaneous. So experiences in themselves don't cause any suffering. They're just experiences. But if you decide how they should be, and then they're not that way, then that's when you will suffer. So suffering is caused by the difference or the contrast between your mental construct of how you want things to be compared to how reality actually is. And so the magnitude of difference will equal the magnitude of how much you suffer. So when you make these mental constructs of what you like and what you dislike, which, like I said, that's personal to you based on your unique experiences, your consciousness becomes completely absorbed by the model of life that your different preferences actually generate. So you will end up forming a whole self-concept around your preference system. So it ends up being that you say to yourself, I am the one who likes this, and I am the one who hates that. And this is where we get to the personal mind that you created that causes you to suffer when the outside circumstances don't match your internal preferences. And this is why, based on the title of this video, it's why your mind is so negative and why it's so noisy in there. So if you pay attention to your mind, you'll realize that you're basically constantly having automatic thoughts come into your mind. And it's important to realize that you're not doing that, right? Because they're automatic. So you're not doing that. It's actually your mind creating them. And this is why a lot of people say that they can't meditate, Okay, so if you've tried that, you will know, just try sit quietly with no thoughts for as long as you can. And just watch how quickly your mind automatically starts to generate thoughts. Most people, if they try, they can't even do it for 10 seconds. And the same is happening when you're going about your life as well. So watch your mind when you're in the shower. Just watch everything that it's saying when you're just having a shower, or even whilst you're driving. It's always going. Think about it also when you're in a conversation with somebody. You'll find that your mind is just going in the background. And your friend in the conversation comes to you and says, "Oh, I've just purchased a new car." And straight away your mind starts to go, the personal mind, and it starts to make everything personal and about you. And it's like, "Oh, I would never buy a car. The economy's terrible. Why would you buy a new car? It's such a waste of money." And it just starts going and going and going automatically. You're not even listening to your friend talk anymore because your consciousness is now completely distracted by your automatic unconscious thoughts. So where do these thoughts come from? And why does the mind create these thoughts all by itself? It's the preferences that you have created throughout your experiences in life. What they've actually done is this is why, this is where the thoughts come from. Those preferences through the experiences in life have actually stored unfinished mental and emotional patterns inside your mind. So through the process of creating a preference, what you've actually done is you've actually blocked some of that experience in your mind, and it's still there. So when you experience something that you don't like, what ends up happening is you resist it and you push it away. So as an example, if someone was going to physically hit you, you would put your hands up and you would try to move away from them and push away. That's exactly the process that you're doing mentally as well. By using your will, which was said is a function of your consciousness, you use your will mentally inside to push away something that is unwanted or something that you label as negative or bad. Now, what that means is the experience doesn't fully flow all the way through to your consciousness. So most of your experiences that you're having are just neutral, right? They flow all the way through, as that's what an experience is meant to do. So you don't care about the birds flying in the sky, the trees near your house, when you're driving, the white lines on the road. You don't care about any of those things. They're just neutral. So most experiences, when they're neutral, they just flow through you, all the way through your consciousness. And that's what all experiences are meant to do, okay? So all experiences will and can have the ability to add to who you are and to make you a more full person if you allow them to all flow through. But of course, not by any fault of your own, but unwittingly, we don't allow all experiences to flow through. And we do that because we've developed a preference system through defining some experiences as good and others as bad. And therefore, we're not allowing the full experience to come in. So the energy that we have blocked within us by not allowing the full experience to flow through, it's not going to sit there quietly. Okay, so anything that you have stored within you, in your mind, by you trying to cling to something that was good or resist something that was bad, that energy is still within you and it's trying to release itself. So remember, we talked about one of the laws of the universe is that energy is always in motion, right? It's always moving. But when you hold it in place by your preferences of like and dislike, it's going to try and release. So this is Newton's law of motion, right? So energy is always moving. It doesn't want to stay in your mind. So the events from the past, that you've kept in there, they don't want to stay there. It's not natural for energy to stay in one place. It's always moving. Now that energy is still moving, but it's blocked. So it's here, and rather than flowing, it's still moving, but it's blocked, and you're holding it there with your will. So that's just a mental framework of what you're doing inside you. So it wants to keep moving, but you continue to keep it there. Now, the same way that your body is trying to get rid of anything that is impure in the body, the body is always trying to heal itself. That's a great function of our body. It's always trying to get rid of what's not meant to be there and heal itself. Now, your mind is also doing the same thing. So that is what is happening when your mind is creating its automatic unconscious thoughts. It's actually a great function of your mind that's attempting to cleanse the energy and the mental and emotional patterns that you've stored in there from not allowing experiences to fully flow through you. That's a hard one to say. So it's great. It's the mind's attempt to stay healthy and to get rid of that stored energy. This is also what's happening in your dreams. So when you have dreams, it's the same expressive voice in your head during the day as what is causing you to have those dreams at nighttime. And everything it's saying in terms of during the day and the dreams at night is because of what you have stored inside it. And it's why so much of the dialogue going on is negative, because the vast majority of things that you have stored inside are experiences you didn't like or you found uncomfortable or painful in some way. So there's a very wide range of things you don't want to experience based on your preference system. And there's a very narrow range of things you do want to experience based on your preference system. So this is also why it seems most of your thoughts are negative, because the more preferences you have, the more experience you've had that you resist, which is a lot more. You resist a lot more experiences than the ones that you enjoy. This is why they're a lot more negative. And therefore, it almost takes a miracle for things to perfectly line up just right for you based on your preferences, because you have so many that you resist compared to the few that you enjoy. And I don't know if you've seen those videos with really rich kids on YouTube, and it's their birthday and their parents give them a car and they film the reaction. And the kid gets really upset that they just got a car because it was blue and they wanted red. So that they had this amazing experience of getting a car, but their preference system of color, and I know this sounds crazy, but the YouTube videos are there to show that their preference system of color caused them to have a negative, unwanted experience of getting a new car. It's crazy, but you can see how preferences can really stop you enjoying many beautiful experiences in life. I mean, every single experience has something to teach you. It's not just the ones that you consider good based on your preference system. So it really comes down to it's your judgments and expectations that keep you from enjoying all of the array of life's experiences. And this is the beginning of all disease and suffering. So I think I've talked enough about showing you where your focus is. And, unfortunately, it's not where you want it to be most of the time, but that's okay. We're all here to learn. So, going back to the start, if focus is what creates your reality, and your focus is normally, as we've talked about in this video, on your automatic unconscious thoughts that are just negative emotional and mental patterns from the past, you can see the problem with this, right? So I've also showed you you're also mainly focused on your fears and what you don't want to happen and what you're resisting. But that's what you're creating because that's what you're focused on. And you're also focused on how you need to compensate for the negative beliefs that you created when you were a child, which gets you to try and resolve those beliefs to prove that they're not true. So you can see that all of this focus is unconscious, but you can see that a lot of your focus is not really where you thought it was. And this is why a lot of people's lives are recreations from the past, and they're not going to where they want it to go and where they think they are pointing their focus, because a lot of it is unconscious. So I know from all of that, it seems like I painted a really bad picture, but it's actually really good news, right? It's really good news, because I've said this before, but it's showing you that you personally are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It's not personal to you. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it's not against you, okay? It's just that we are very unaware of how creation works in the first part. And then secondly, we are, because it's focus that creates your reality, it's just the fact that you don't know where your focus is. So that's the good news, because we can change that. And that then becomes the answer to all of this, is to become much more conscious about where your focus is, right? That's the answer to all of it. To become more conscious of where your focus is, to be more intentional and aware of what you are creating, because you are always creating and asking for something. The game now is to become more conscious of that. So that's what we'll discuss in the next video.